A family home goes down in flames, but that was just the beginning.
And why did she keep telling y'all to stay in the room?
Because I didn't know she wanted us to get burned by the fire or anything.
Inside the house, fire crews find multiple children, some of whom never make it out alive. And the woman accused of carrying out the heinous act is the very person who was supposed to keep these children safe.
What scared you?
Once it had the knife.
Did she pull a knife out today?
I don't know. I don't know. She pulled it out on the baby, but she didn't pull it out on nobody else. But that's who I think she did it to. And then Mama said she's gonna kill all of us, including her friend too.
She was diagnosed with major depression. She was diagnosed with postpartum depression. She was, according to her own husband, seeing a psychiatrist for both. And on the night of June 24th, 2022, according to a 911 call logged by the Paulding County Emergency Center, a family home on Woodwind Drive was reported on fire with children trapped inside. That's the official record. Here's the visual you need to hold on to for the rest of this video. Two little girls climbing out of a second-story window into the dark, while inside, on the ground floor, the house was already deciding who would live and who wouldn't. That image is the entire case. Everything else is just the paperwork trying to explain it. Before we go deeper into what the records actually show, make sure you're subscribed to the Crime Infinity, because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. Darlene Brister married Ricky Brister in 2002. Over 17 years, they had 7 children. By the summer of 2022, the youngest was 9 months old.
Paulding County, Georgia. That's where we meet this week's female criminal, Darlene Brister. Darlene was born in 1982. We don't know much about her life growing up, but we do know in 2002 she married a man named Ricky Brister. Over the course of their more than 17-year marriage, the couple had 7 children. By 2022, Darlene and Ricky were the parents of a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 11-year-old, 9-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and their youngest only 9 months old. Perhaps to the outside world, they were simply a family of 9. But does anyone truly know?
The family lived off Section 8 housing assistance and food stamps, according to Ricky's own statement to detectives. He told investigators he'd been unemployed since the pandemic hit in 2020, after previously working retail. On paper, this was a struggling but functioning household. 7 kids, homeschooled, 1 income that didn't exist anymore, and a mother who, according to her husband, had never been formally diagnosed with anything until after her 7th child was born. That's the part of the record worth sitting with. Major depression, postpartum depression, a psychiatrist involved, and, according to Ricky, a woman who, in his words, would not take her medication. No one called it what it was. Now here's where the timeline gets uncomfortable. Investigators learned from neighbors, and later confirmed through family interviews, that months before the fire, sometime around October or November of 2021, Darlene was removed from the home. Not arrested, removed. A welfare check, an evaluation, the kind of intervention that happens when a family is already flashing warning signs to the people closest to it. She came back a few months later. The neighbors say she seemed better. The kids kept going. Nobody flagged it publicly again. No one called it what it was. On the night of June 24th, according to the account later relayed by Ricky's mother, Vicky, who says she heard it directly from one of the surviving children, the day started with pills. Sleeping pills, handed out to the kids that morning under the pretense of ordinary medicine. Some of the children swallowed theirs. Some didn't. One of the youngest had hers dissolved into a bottle. By evening, according to the same account, gasoline had been poured through multiple rooms of the house. The boys' room, the girls' room, near vents, near windows, while the smaller children were reportedly laid down in a hallway. Ricky was not home that night. What do you do when the last ordinary hour before a house burns looks exactly like every other hour before it? That's the question this case never really answers, because by the time anyone outside that house understood what was happening, it was already happening. Fire crews arrived to find the Brister home engulfed, with witnesses reporting 2 children jumping from a second-story window to escape. When the flames were finally under control, investigators found a scene that the fire itself hadn't caused. A 3-year-old and a 9-month-old were pronounced dead at the house. A 5-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old were transported to the hospital. The 5-year-old later died from injuries. And here is the detail that turns this from a house fire into something else entirely. According to the Paulding County Sheriff's Office, the 3 youngest victims did not die from smoke or flame. They died from stab wounds, inflicted before the fire was ever set. 3 lives extinguished before the gasoline touched the vents.
Know what is going on behind their neighbors' closed doors? Because inside the Brister home, something was unfolding that no one saw coming. Just before 9:30 p.m. on June 24, 2022, the Paulding County 911 Center receives a call about a fire and domestic disturbance at a home on Woodwind Drive. Fire crews rush to the address where they discover the Brister home up in flames, and there are children trapped inside. It's a horrifying scene. Neighbors say they witnessed 2 of the children jumping out of a second-story window to escape. Fire crews battle the flames, but once the fire is finally under control, they discover a scene far more devastating than the blaze itself. A 3-year-old and 9-month-old baby are pronounced dead at the scene. An 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and 5-year-old are immediately rushed to the hospital, but the 5-year-old Brister child ultimately dies from their injuries. Only 3 people make it out of the home alive without injuries: the Brister's 16-year-old, 14-year-old, and Darlene Brister. Detectives determined at the time of the fire Darlene's husband Ricky Brister wasn't home. They also determined the Brister's 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and 9-month-old didn't die as a result of the fire. They died because of injuries they sustained from being stabbed. The teenage Bristers reportedly tell deputies on scene they know who the attacker is: their mom, Darlene. Deputies find Darlene still on the property, and they take her into custody. How does a home filled with 7 kids become the scene of unimaginable tragedy?
No one called it what it was until the coroner did. Only 3 people walked out of that house without injury: the 2 oldest Brister children, ages 16 and 14, and Darlene herself. According to the surviving teenagers' statements to deputies on scene, they identified their mother as the person responsible. Detectives located her still on the property and took her into custody that night. In the days that followed, investigators built out the timeline through interviews, not with Darlene, but with everyone around her. A neighbor recalled Ricky packing up his belongings and moving out just days before the fire, describing it as unusual because, in his words, the couple was here all week long and rarely left.
I know it's early.
Yeah.
Were you home last night when all that happened? Do you mind giving us a statement?
I done a written one.
You did a written one already?
Yeah, me and my neighbor over there, he came and got me when the girl jumped out the window.
This neighbor doesn't live too far from the Bristers. He says he noticed signs of tension just a day before the tragedy, moments that in hindsight seem to take on a much different meaning.
Well, see, Ricky, I know him a little bit, the man, the dad. I mean, he'll come over here and talk to me sometimes, but, I don't know him that well. But I know Sunday, I was out here drinking coffee, and Sunday morning he was packing all his stuff up, like all his clothes, shoes, everything. He threw the baby car seat out on the driveway and the stroller out, because they got a minivan. He was taking everything out of it, putting out, like, all his stuff. And I noticed he was gone all week. He wasn't here all week long. And that's rare because they don't work or nothing. They're usually there all the time.
Neither one of them work?
Not that I know of. They're there all day, every day. And so I figured, and see, back, I think it was, I want to say around December, I'm probably wrong on that. The cops got called out here, and they took her away and everything. And he came over here, like, later that evening or the next day, and explained to us what was going on, and saying that she...
Another neighbor described hearing Darlene had been forcibly removed from the home the previous fall after allegedly threatening the family with a knife. A third neighbor, reflecting after the fact, said Darlene's character before the fire and her character that night felt like 2 different people, going so far as to wonder aloud whether she'd had some kind of breakdown, given the demands of homeschooling 7 children essentially alone.
Did you have any arguments or any domestic violence, domestic abuse that would happen in the household?
She had to come over there and get her out of there because she tried to kill everybody. That was about October, November, something like that.
When was this?
About October last year.
October last year?
She stayed gone for about a couple months, something like that. and came back. And said she was all better, said she felt better. Then this bad Sunday, not this Sunday. Sunday before that, they got to argue. Well, she got to argue with him again. And said she gonna do the same thing. Said she gonna kill them.
The she this neighbor is referring to is Darlene Brister. And after learning the allegations against her, they're suddenly viewing her through a different lens.
Did you see anything personally when the situation happened?
Yes, but no. The mom was in the backyard, and I did not know that. The whole time we were standing right there at my neighbor's back fence, but it was also like right there at their back fence. And she was in the backyard the whole time. We didn't know that until the police officers were telling her to get down the ground or put her hands up, something like that.
Okay. What did you witness before that? Like when it all began?
Oh, I didn't witness nothing before that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just write a witness statement about her character with the kids and stuff like that, just like you told us, and then what you saw.
That's not going to help her, right? Because she needs to be there.
No, that's not going to help her. We're just saying that her character before and then her character now.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what you just told us.
Yeah.
Just to show the court system that how the neighbors saw her act beforehand with the family.
Then there's Kay Hill, Darlene's sister-in-law, who gave investigators a different lens entirely. Hill, who described her professional background in education and workplace discrimination investigations, told detectives she'd noticed the children's speech was underdeveloped.
Observations, there were a few things that didn't sit right with her.
I'm an educator. Just wrapped up my tenure as a principal, and I work in human resources, and I do Title IX, so gender discrimination and sexual harassment. That's my all day, every day. So with that hat on, I did have some concerns because all the kids have a type of speech, have a speech issue, a speech and language. All of their language is very slurred, not proper enunciation. So you can tell like these kids have not had a chance to talk with anybody outside of their home, because it's the interaction with other people that help you to develop your speaking. It's the reason why I don't have my hometown country twang anymore. It's because you get out, you get to talk to other people, and you assimilate. So you could tell that they did not have that access. Faith has high anxiety, super shy. She was a really good mother, and she came up and she had time with my kids and loved on my kids, and I let her be with my kids alone. Do you think if I thought she was going to do that on Friday, I would let her anywhere near my children? But she was great. She was a great aunt. She connected with them. She did art projects with them, and that's my kids and her kids. So had anybody thought that this was how this was going to manifest, I would have been down here. I would have come down here and gotten her and took her to the hospital myself. But I really feel like, and it's not right, but in that psychotic break, I felt like she was trying to get away. I don't think she meant to survive.
She described it as slurred, under-enunciated, consistent with kids who'd had almost no interaction with anyone outside the home. She also described a pattern where Darlene gave birth essentially alone, with Ricky staying behind to watch the other children rather than accompanying her to the hospital. Even during a delivery complicated enough that Darlene later had emergency surgery. Hill's read on the marriage, given directly to investigators, was blunt: control, isolation, and a household run more like doctrine than partnership.
They've always had major issues. They've always had major issues. In the beginning, it's like a cult.
This is the police interview with Darlene's sister-in-law, Kaylee Hill. Even after what Darlene is accused of, she doesn't hold back her feelings about Ricky.
That's what he's got his own brand of religion. He is a narcissist. I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but when I described it to the medical staff, she was like, that's a narcissist. So I go and look it up. I'm like, that's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. He can never be wrong about anything. And he has to be in control. And everything he says is very manipulative. When she had Donovan, she had to go to that hospital by herself. There was nobody with her. I don't know if Barbara ever got to see her when she had the baby, when she was in the hospital, but from my understanding, there was nobody with her. So when she got back home, she's got to go back to cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids. And
well,
taking care
nobody
of
with
her. Ricky said he had to stay with the kids.
Okay.
So she had that baby by herself, and we didn't find out till afterwards. And then the same thing happened with the baby, Devontae. Ended up going to the hospital by herself, having the baby. This time she did get her tubes tied. Ricky was upset about that, and this is what she told me. Ricky was upset about her getting her tubes tied, and she was upset because with this baby, there was a medical problem. I don't know if she hemorrhaged or it was something where they had to do a little extra medical care or something. Anyway, and she got her tubes tied, and one of the doctors was male. The doctor that was saving her life, whoever it was that was helping her with the hemorrhage or whatever, was saving that doctor. It was male, and Darlene told me that Ricky got upset because it was a male doctor. And I'm thinking to Darlene, I'm like, baby, you're about to die. We don't care who it is who comes to save you. You need to be saved.
That context matters, not as an excuse, but as a record of what nobody outside that house was watching closely enough. No one called it what it was. The children's own statements to forensic interviewers are the most direct evidence in the entire case file. One of the surviving daughters described her mother pouring gasoline near the windows and vents, checking on the kids under the pretense of making sure they were asleep, and using what the child described as a long-handled lighter meant for candles.
Can I tell you the story that my grandbaby told me? And I don't think there's a reason. No, it was all of them. It was meant for all of them.
Okay.
She gave them pills that morning, sleeping pills. The girls didn't take theirs. Only one of the girls took theirs. They were asleep. The other, Dante and the other one that went in. That's what my baby told me. And if I fall out, sometimes it's hard to say it, to relive it.
I understand. You take your time.
Charity, told me that my mama gave us some pills that morning to take. And she told us to bring these flowers and her whatever machine she made t-shirts with, put them in the car. And they did that. And she said that my mama was acting funny. And so my mama got in the car and took the car down the street and came back and gave us some pills to take. And I didn't take my pills, and Faith didn't take hers, but Charity took her pills. And the boys took their pill, and it was sleeping pills because I know that they went to sleep. And she had the other two, the little ones, the 3-year-old and the month-olds. She had them in the hallway laying down on the floor. And she had planned, so she said she dumped the gas in the boys' room, then she dumped the gas in our room. And she went back. She didn't say us. She just said she stabbed the baby. And she came back and boyfriend and we smelled the smoke. And then she came to put the fire in our room, but it didn't work. And Faith said she took a sheet, and threw it out the window and it was going out. She went down the window and she got scared and she wanted to come back up and it was holding her hand. And then Charity told her, no, don't come back up. Just jump down. And Charity said she jumped down next. And then Faith, Hopi, they had to coach her out the window. She was just standing in the window and Charity was the big girl saying, come on, you gotta come out of there, So it wasn't aimed towards nobody that looked like in particular. It just the way it happened.
Another child recalled being told to stay in a bedroom, unsure whether it was to protect her from the fire or trap her inside it. A third recalled her mother's demeanor that day as unusually calm, smiling while packing bags, going quiet when the kids thanked her for something, and offering no real answer when asked directly if she was leaving.
Clearly.
Because she was acting nice to us when she was giving it to us, but she didn't say anything when we told her thank you. She was being quiet.
Okay.
And she kept smiling. And then we seen her pack her stuff. We kept asking her if she was leaving. And she said she wasn't leaving. And then she just kept smiling and stuff, and then that shit don't know.
Darlene Brister was charged with 3 counts of malice murder, 3 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of first-degree arson, and 7 counts of first-degree cruelty to children. She was held without bond in the Paulding County Jail. In a statement to a local news outlet after her arrest, Ricky Brister said publicly that he believed the fire was the result of a mental health crisis the family had been trying to get ahead of, and that despite everything, he had already forgiven her.
So question, your wife, she's still alive. Do you plan on still being with her?
I don't know. She needs some help. I love her, but she needs some help. I can't. She would not take her medicine, so I don't know what to do with that situation right now, honestly. Okay. I haven't made up my mind. I love her, and I know the Bible says, to death do us part, and she's not dead. And I do believe in doing what the Bible says, but this is really hard.
I'm not saying maybe, okay, so I guess you're thinking like divorce, is that what you're thinking in your head? I'm thinking like, when I say be with her, actually you and the kids, if she gets out, you go stay with her.
No. I think with that situation, if she gets out, I don't know, she needs to be, no, we can't stay with her. Because she's not stable enough. She's not, I can't know. She's not stable enough because she was over to Section 8, and that's how she got a chance to constantly put me out. So, and that's one of the reasons why I had to go by my mother, So, I need to be over it, and I would like, me personally, I would like to have, just to be able to visit her or something like that at least for a while.
Okay.
But
so it'll need to be a transition, and you have to make sure that she's mentally.
She's mentally stable before I allow that to even take place. Because this came
on September 1st, 2022. Paulding County District Attorney Matthew Rollins announced prosecutors would seek the death penalty, citing the severity of the crimes. But the case never reached a jury. In February of 2024, Darlene Brister accepted a negotiated plea, 3 consecutive life sentences for the deaths of her 9-month-old, 3-year-old, and 5-year-old children. She's currently serving that sentence at Pulaski State Prison in Hawkinsville, Georgia. What the public record doesn't tell us is what happens next for the 4 children who survived. the ones who gave statements about pills and gasoline, and a mother who kept smiling.
You feel safe around Mom?
Not all the time.
Not all the time? So, did you feel safe with Mom today?
Not when she was tell us to stay in the room.
In what room?
In the day room.
Okay. And why did she keep telling y'all to stay in the room?
Because I didn't know if she wanted us to get burned by the fire or anything.
Are you afraid that she will hurt you?
That only happened about one time, I think.
Tell me about that one time.
It was today.
It was today? How did she try to hurt you?
Their names have been withheld. Their custody outcomes haven't been made public. And that silence is its own kind of unresolved case file. If you want to go beyond this video, the plea filing from Paulding County Superior Court, dated February 2024, lays out the sentencing terms in full. It's public record and worth reading yourself. And here's the question we want answered in the comments. Based on everything documented in this case, the prior removal from the home, the untreated depression, the isolation described by her own sister-in-law, do you think this was a system that failed to intervene in time, or a warning that was simply never taken seriously enough to act on? If this case affected you the way it affected us putting it together, hit like, share it with someone who needs to see how these warning signs actually stack up in real records. Subscribe if you haven't, and turn on notifications, because the Crime Infinity is only interested in what the documents can actually prove.